Hey everybody, Jay Barrino here, welcome back. This is Five Nations. Going to be making a playthrough of this game, at least the first campaign, if not all 5 of them, we will see. It's pretty long, somewhere between 50 and 60 missions. Now, this is an indie real-time strategy game. It's isometric, so it's based on older real-time strategies from the late 90s, early 2000s time period. It takes place entirely in space. It's created by Silverforge, which is a 2-person indie dev studio based in Hungary, I believe. So I have played a few missions of this on stream, and I went ahead and just reset my profile so we can pretend like nothing ever happened. There are only 2 difficulties. I'll be playing on hard difficulty as compared to story. There's no in-between, so we'll play on hard. We'll see how it goes. I think I'll be okay. I have, just a little experience with real-time strategy. But I'm very interested in this game. I really liked what I've played of it so far. And we'll see how it goes as we get further and further into it. So again, I know how to play, but I haven't played very much of the campaign at all, only like 4 missions. Let's get started. In the 22nd century, humanity has colonized the solar system and has begun to expand their territories into the Caribou system. 20 years since the end of the devastating war between the democracy of Mars and Earth, the United Federation controls the entirety of human-populated planets and moons. The Federation's economy depends on the resources of the fringe regions. The fringe regions suffer from a new golden age of piracy, separatist movements, and terrorism. The Federation, fearing the rise of a new DEMA in the Caribou system, has stationed a powerful navy in the sector under the leadership of Admiral Sterling Buckner.
Good day, Commander Colburn. We are receiving an incoming transmission from the Point Custer headquarters.
Thank you, Aida. Put it on the screen.
Greetings, Commander. We have received a distress call from one of the Unicorp's mineral extractor stations near you. The signal is very weak and full of static, but what we interpret is that the UX-22 needs immediate assistance from the Federation. Because you are the closest flotilla that we have in this sector, you have to find out what happened.
Admiral, the UX-22 is only 4 hours away from our location. Why can't we detect their distress call?
Because someone's probably jamming their signal, Cole. And by the way, I can't believe you said, put this on the screen. It sounds like you think you're Captain Kirk.
Lieutenant Sleskovsky, good to see that you're still alive. Though I see your manners haven't changed over the years.
Yes, my lieutenant still has a strange way of speaking to his superiors. Don't worry, Admiral. We'll investigate what's going on with UX-22.
Alright, so since it's the very first mission, I'll make sure to take some time to go through how the game works, and then once we get past the first 2 or 3 missions, we're just going to start blazing into these missions as if we all understand how to play properly. Let's get started. Send me in. There's probably going to be some more dialogue right when we get started here. So the idea is we're going to just check out some disturbances at these outlying corporate mining excavation sites.
I'm listening.
So we got Captain Colburn here. That's our hero.
Commander, we are in communication distance with the UX-22. They are hailing us.
Federation Commander, I'm Vera Vargas, Acting Director of the local mining complex UX-22. You'll arrive just in time. We can't defend ourselves from the pirates any longer.
I'm Commander Benjamin Colburn. What do you mean by acting director? I thought Evan McLean was the director of the regional branch of Unicorp.
Yes, he was. But when the pirates attacked us 2 days ago, he walked out of the head office's airlock. He couldn't really handle the tension. Anyway, where's the rest of the Fed Navy?
Oh, great. Here comes the you look different in the picture routine. Don't worry, miss. There might not be that many of us, but we know how to play hardball.
Anyway, I like how she's like, oh yeah, the head guy, he killed himself. Anyway, alright, so it's talking about the differences between fighters and other ships. So let's just check out our hero first, which is Captain Colburn and the UFN Trinity. I like how it lists out the different weaponry that they have. So the idea is fighters are a unique class of ship where they can only be attacked by certain things, and they can fly over any terrain, and asteroids function as the major path blockers in this game. Fighters can fly over these things, but nothing else can. So you can use fighters to sort of scout and harass. In these early missions, they're our only option, but later they're going to become more of a niche situational unit, I believe. So you can see they just have like a weak little laser. There's hulls, shields, and then of course you got armor that reduces damage taken by hull, stuff like that. Fighter spacecraft, smaller, quicker than other units due to their maneuverability. A lot of weapons cannot aim at them, so larger capital ships don't have anti-fighter weaponry. That's why you need smaller support ships or your own fighters. And then they also have these collision avoidance sensors, which allows them to fly over all the stuff. And then we got our hero, you know, we got our mana bar, energy bar, what have you, which is normal. And then he's got lasers, which can target fighters. And he's got a big missile thing that can target everything else. And then he's got 2 abilities, which is really cool here, too. The Flechette missile, we're going to be relying on it. This can one-shot fighters and just does massive AoE, but it also it hits our own stuff, so we have to be careful of that. All right, so with that being said, I guess let's go ahead and start attacking. We could probably just go in here with just our hero and preserve our fighters a little bit here. So you can see only his lasers can attack these. He can't use his missile on these. His Seraph missile, I should say. The Flechette strike would instant kill these things, but it does pretty weak damage versus everything else.
Make it happen.
And there's the base. The economy is very unique in this game.
Orders? I'm listening.
Relieve the complex. I guess let's just make sure that we have control over all this stuff. These barricade sets are like our little anti-fighter type stuff. You can see they shoot their little lasers as well. Sensors allow them to detect invisible stuff, barricade laser, etc., etc.
State your request.
Okay, and let's just get up here and make sure that we're defending these things.
Our stations are under attack.
This Icarus is it's an economy-related vehicle, but it does have some weapons. And I think we're gonna get some updated stuff here soon.
See, honey, problem solved.
Thank you, Mr. Comedian, but this was their only vanguard. The rest of the bastards captured UX-22A and 22B facilities. They're preparing a full frontal assault on us soon.
Miss Vargas, please pardon my lieutenant. Laskovsky is an excellent soldier, but a bad diplomat. In order to defend the station, we will need full control of Unicorp's local forces.
Commander, Miss Vargas has granted us full control of Unicorp's forces. We even have access to the extractor vessels as well. We could use them to gather resources and construct defensive barricade sacks.
Okay, so usually you need barricade sets in your resources. Use the engineer shuttles to mine metal from nearby or rich asteroids. So these are our workers. They can't repair, but they harvest and they can build. So what you have to do is you have to harvest from these. You have to harvest from these asteroids.
At home with Unicorp's equipment and are already starting to mine resources. But if you need to use those metals, you'll have to attach the Icarus cargo to the mining facility.
And you can only return to mining stations, and then you have to have an Icarus cargo ship pick up loads of the metals and then bring it back. You can see there's 3 types of harvestable things: metal, helium, tachyon, and then you have this also 4th resource, which is energy, which you harvest from just having these solar stations. Of course, we have a supply counter. I don't know what max supply is in this game, and then we also have some nice idle workers and an overall worker count, which is nice. So having to add the extra step of the Icarus is interesting. You have to sort of set up resource supply lines, which I think is interesting. Though I do feel like as this game, as the further and further we get into it, it might become a little tedious to have to set that kind of stuff up.
Commander, an enemy strike force is preparing an assault on the complex. They will be arriving soon.
So I'm just going to try to land a Flechette strike on these incoming attacks. You'll see we're on hard difficulty, so the attack's going to be pretty large, I believe. And I've only played a little bit of this game, so let's shoot this thing here. And it just instantly roasts all of those. Now that does friendly fire, so we can't get in there with our fighters or we'd kill all of them. That would be bad news. There's really not much, I think, else to do besides just go ahead and toss more workers here onto metal, and then maybe we could build some more barricade sets. But honestly, the Flechette strike should be enough to take care of anything that's coming in. This is like our basic shipbuilding production.
Factory station in the area as well. We can use it to produce hurricanes to reinforce our strike team.
Right, so I can build more fighters if I wanted to, and like, why not, I suppose, as long as I don't accidentally kill them. Pretty cool how this kind of looks like, the ship factory kind of looks like a Terran starport from StarCraft. Clearly a lot of inspiration here was taken from the older Age of Empires, as well as Command & Conquer and StarCraft, for sure. And I think that's pretty neat. It all takes place in space. There's no y-axis. We can't go above asteroids. So the asteroids all function as terrain blockers, basically, except for fighters, which again can fly over them. And you always want to have some barricade stats in your resource line because enemies can fly over them with fighters and attack your resource lines.
Another enemy strike force is preparing an assault on the installation. They have corvettes in their armada.
Ben, these guys are not just a ragtag band of pirates. They're much more organized.
You're right, Greg. The weapons and tactics they're using suggest that they're the Black Swan.
Black Swan?
A paramilitary separatist organization that sought to end Federation rule in the fringe sectors. Essentially, a couple of ex-DEMA officers who didn't accept that we kicked their asses.
Okay, it's pinging to us the direction that they're coming from. So let's go ahead and get our Trinity in position to hit it with a flechette strike and then follow up with the fighters so that we can kill the corvettes that are left over. So again, the flechette strike I don't think can one-shot the corvettes. But this can one-shot the fighters. Now let's get in there with everybody else to support our hero, and then the barricade sats. Good stuff. So they have those little corvettes. They're pretty weak. And then I think they send one more attack. Again, I've recently played this first mission just to kind of remember how to play the game. And then I played 2 or 3 other missions on stream a while ago. But I think I played on the lower difficulty, so I have a general sense, again, on how to play the game. But we're kind of relearning it. And this is only mission 1, where we sit around, we learn what the buildings are, we learn how the economy works with only one of the 4 potentials. And it's a good little introduction for sure, which is nice.
I'm listening.
And we got to be careful. His shields are pretty low. Shields functioning just like, Protoss shields would in StarCraft, for example. They can regenerate. Certain weapons do better versus shields versus, non-shields just against hull and armor, etc., etc. He's also got this EMP, a pulse of electromagnetic energy, which affects of rendering the target immobile for 10 seconds. That's extreme. This is single target, though, so you can only hit one specific target. So if the enemy has, like, a really big ship, like a capital ship, we want to use the EMP burst on it. That's pretty much the only use for that, I believe. His energy comes back pretty fast, though, so we can just keep using the flechette strike. It's really overpowered in these early missions when the enemy's primarily sending fighters at you. And then in the future, anyway, we just got to remember that we got to put barricade sats in our resource lines.
Another wave of attackers.
Okay, they're coming from the top, and they're flying right over our resources. Let's blast as many fighters as we can, and then get our own fighters in there. And these gunboats seem like they're not very good. So we're able to wipe those out with just our fighters, and we have a huge numerical advantage as well.
Final objective achieved. Commander, the Black Swan has stopped the attack. It seems that they are inventorying their remaining vessels.
All right. Well, there you go. There's our first mission done of 5 nations. I'm really excited to dive further into this and learn more about the different tech trees. Again, we only had access to fighters, which I think eventually become a very specific role later on, whereas now it was our only military unit besides our hero. But I think eventually you can get carriers where you load fighters into the carriers and then you sort of launch them like a Protoss carrier, really, and then they can redock and get repaired, etc., etc. So I'm really looking forward to see how this expands with the tech tree. I like the idea of setting up mining outposts and then having to protect your Icarus supply lines as they go back and forth to drop off resources from where you're harvesting them from back to your main base. You can only build in a radius around your main structure. So you can't necessarily build a bunch of defensive emplacements out in, outlying outposts until we can start building our main structure. We can build new ones, I suppose. I think that happens eventually. Okay, well, thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.